everybody. Welcome. Tag a friend. Come on in the room. Tag a friend. Come on in the room. Tag a friend. Then come on in the room. Well, come on in the room, then tag a friend. That's the way that it should go, because order of operations. Yeah, share this. So this is live on my personal page and in the Authentically Wed Facebook group. So if you want to share this to your personal page, go to my personal page, share it from there, because if you share it from the group, you will not, your people who are not in the group won't be able to see it. So go ahead and share. I see y'all coming in. Hey, Janisha. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Hey, Janisha. Welcome. Y'all know how I do. First of all, you have to say hi, because if you don't, that's rude. Like, don't come in my house. Don't come in my room and you don't say hi to me. That drinking all my juice. You all in my cupboard. Okay? It's cupboard. Do people say cupboard? Is that a word that people say? Do people say cupboard? It doesn't matter. Come on in the room and tag a friend and share and do all of the things. We have an amazing, hold on one second. Because y'all know the Saints like to text me as soon as I go live. There we go. So, welcome, y'all. We have an amazing event. Okay, pantry. Okay, pantry. All right, I understand now. Hey, Hey, Courtney. Welcome to you all. Thank you everybody for watching. This is the Pillow Talk teaser. So, if you have never been to a Pillow Talk before, this is going to be our third one. It's going to be December 23rd, 2020. Right? December 23rd. Sorry, y'all. This is bothering me. I might as well just tell y'all what's going on. This was bothering me right here. This right here was bothering me. Okay, so on December 23rd, we are having, yes, Becca. We are having Pillow Talk. And tonight, you get to experience a little bit about how it goes down. Of course, we're a little bit limited by the virtualness of it all, but the content is fire. It's going to be great. Like, I didn't even tell them what we're talking about, but I told them that they need to be ready to be with the shenanigans, because that's how it goes down at Pillow Talk. You'll get to see most of the panelists that will be involved. Again, if you have not gotten your ticket, I need you to go to www.authenticallywed.com/Pillow Talk. Also, if you watch till the end, okay, there may be something in it for you. So I wouldn't sleep on watching this here live. Okay. So I see our numbers are going up. Welcome to everybody. We're going to have a good time. We are going to have a good time tonight. Hey, Alicia. We're gonna have a good time. So I'm getting ready to introduce you all. Y'all know how my technology be doing me. Okay, so go ahead and give me like 1 minute so I can gather my life. But thank you guys. Make sure you tag somebody that needs to be here, because you already know how it's going to go down. All right. So, boom. I'm over here. I'm setting up. So, boom. All right. So, thank you guys for watching. Hey, Brandy. I'm getting ready to introduce y'all to our panelists so we can get it kicked off, okay? So, first up is my brother, LeVar. I absolutely love him. He is one of our male panelists, of course. He will be on Team Mars, because men are from Mars and women are from Venus, and he want to be all the way over there on Mars. And so that's the team. He's an amazing content creator, a good friend of mine. You will learn more about him at the event, but go ahead and y'all can follow him after this. He's going to give us some amazing insight and wisdom tonight. I think he's all right. You know how all right, you know, he be thinking I am sometimes, because he be aggravating me, y'all, but you know. So say hi to the
Love it. Hey, W, what's going on? Looking forward to having a great time tonight.
All right. Next, we have my sis, Eugenia Johnson, who is in the PR field. So I absolutely Love her. Her insight. She's just so sweet, y'all. I love her. She's been in AW for a good minute, like for a good minute. So, welcome, representing Team Venus. Say hi to the people, sis.
Hey, y'all.
Next, we have my bro Malcolm. He lives in, I was about to say Birmingham, Huntsville. An amazing man of God. I love his wisdom and insight. And so he's over here representing, the people over there in Mars. Say hi to the people, man. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be biased.
What up?
I'm not supposed to be
What
biased.
up, Nick? I'm sorry, Pink.
Pink. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we have my sis Genesis. She is an amazing woman, y'all. I love me some Genesis. She absolutely, well, she's actually not last, sorry. She talks about all things luxury and femininity, and she's a bomb business owner. So I had to get her to Pillow Talk, y'all. She is flying in from Delaware. Okay, so it's gonna be good. Hey, sis.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good. And then for real, last but not least, we have Elisha Sumo, who is, if you guys have watched our show, Shoot Your Shot Live, he is my co-host. And prayerfully, he'll be coming back for season 2 to continue to host the show with me. Okay. And he is a graphic designer, content creator, business coach. He'd be all around the world doing all of the things. And he's also a sponsor and our producer with his company Upward Now for the event. So say hi to the people, Elisha.
Hey, people.
All right. So I want to kick off tonight with a little game. Okay. Oh, Jasmine said, I love Genesis Dorsey. Yes. She said that she thanked me for putting her on. So you're welcome, sis. Genesis is an amazing woman. Yes, Elisha, the man with the plan and the one who keeps you laughing. See, so y'all remember some of these people, okay? So you already know it's going to be a good time tonight and on December 23rd. So I want to start off with a game. We're going to play some word association. Association. I said that right. I'm gonna tell one of you guys' names. I'm gonna call one of y'all's names, and you tell me. I'm gonna give you a word. You tell me immediately the first thing that comes to mind. I just want to see what happens. Okay. So I will start with Malcolm. Your word is wedding. First word.
Cake.
Okay, cake. That's probably the wrong kind of cake. Okay.
Right one. That's the right one. Huh?
Is it?
Okay. LeVar,
Yes, sir.
tell me what you think about when you hear the word Queens.
Hijacked.
Hijacked.
Yep.
Okay. All right. We hold your horses. We're gonna come back to that. The next word is for Gigi. Well, Eugenia. Sorry, we have two Gigi's. Eugenia. Gray sweats.
Dangerous.
My God.
Gigi up in here trying to tell the truth.
Listen, she got the spicy option.
Right.
She did get the spicy option. Okay, Genesis. $40.
Uh-oh.
Oh, come on back in the room.
See, told you them gray sweats was dangerous.
Come on back.
Too spicy.
Listen, if you're watching this, if you don't have your Pillow Talk tickets yet, I need you to go get that. Matter of fact, let me look at this camera. I need you to go get your tickets now. You see who's on the screen. Everybody is, what can I say, eligible to speak up. And so I need you to come in the room, come be a part of the conversation. It's going to be good. It's going to be live. Is anybody holding back? I mean,
No.
we all
No.
talking about.
I'm here. Listen, I'm here for the smoke, baby. I'm here for the smoke.
You're here for 2 seconds and we're already talking about gray sweat. So it is going to be live. I need you to get your ticket. I believe if you go to Vernique Esther's bio. Also, it might be pinned or somewhere on the page on the Authentically webpage. I need you to make sure you have your ticket and you're going to be in the room for this conference. It's going to be crazy. We might as well put it on private because that we can't really go out like that now. So we might have to put it on private. But I need y'all to get your tickets and get your tickets now. She came
all day.
and dip.
Listen.
I ended my sermon.
Listen.
I ended my sermon. I ended my sermon.
That was great. That was a great commercial break right there. I just want to give you a
That
props
is hilarious.
That's a good place to praise.
We got to make that a part of the subject matter. How sometimes people can be flighty. They're just in one moment, then they're out the next moment. It's definitely a dating issue.
That's real. That's real. Listen,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna say this because she started talking about these gray sweats. How often in a year do you wear gray sweats?
Wait a minute. What did I come back to? She does.
Because I had to stop wearing them. Just being honest, I wear them maybe once or twice a year.
Yeah, stop wearing wash.
I mean, when I figured out that I was a thing, everybody's getting exposed these days. Because everybody's telling their business.
That's true.
Everybody's giving out the secrets. So it's like, so when women do this is what that means. So it's like everybody getting exposed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. My other Gigi. I know so many Gigi's. Thank y'all so much for posting that. Thank you for holding it down. Y'all know the internet and technology be hating on me, but it's okay because we have multiple devices in the name of Jesus.
Can you all hear? I can't hear.
I can't hear.
I can hear on my end.
Okay. Genesis, what about you?
I think she put herself on mute on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, y'all. I'm getting some technical assistance because as I said, and there's an echo. Hold on. Sorry, y'all.
No worries. No worries. So are you all in Atlanta? Okay.
East Atlanta, Zone 6, Decatur.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
She had to call out. Listen, I'm with it.
When I say when I'm wearing pearls, don't let these pearls fool
I heard
you.
y'all was full.
That's hilarious.
I heard Atlanta was full.
Man, it is full. It truly is. I'm telling you, traffic every day again.
I see Vernique's lips moving, but I'm not hearing nothing.
I think she's getting technical help.
Okay, y'all. Sorry about that. So back to our game. Ooh. I'm gonna toss it right back. Wait, did I give Elisha one already?
Nah.
Okay. Elisha, your word is ghosting.
Boring.
Okay. Back to you, LeVar.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Did you say WAP? Listen, poor rebranding.
Jesus. That's powerful.
Okay.
That's powerful.
Genesis. Propose.
Business. I'm thinking proposal. Sorry. That's
okay.
Proposal. Sorry.
Mal. Eyelashes.
Hey.
I didn't hear you.
Y'all can hear me? I said fake.
Fake. Okay. All right. And the last one for you, Eugenia, predate.
Predate?
Mm-hmm.
Coffee?
Okay. All right. So I want to go back to
We just gonna skip me?
really a couple of things. Huh?
We just gonna skip me?
My apologies. My
It's so good. I see what's going on. I see.
Okay. Actually, I have one more word for you, Elisha. Your word is provider.
Me.
Ow.
My man
Okay.
said me.
That's
Come
I
on.
know, right? Like literally, like the but anyway. I'm sorry, I'm neutral. LeVar, you
Mhm.
said earlier when we were talking about your initial words, queen, you said hijack. Can you talk to me about
Yeah.
that?
I mean, it's real simple. I think in the world of branding, we basically have an association with the words that we use. So when we see something, we call it something. There's a level of identification that goes along with it. And for me, when I hear Queens, it used to mean something. It used to have a greater meaning, but now it's kind of like everybody uses Queen, no matter what the representation that goes along with it. So you can go to IG, and you can have a sister with everything out. She could be, speaking any kind of way, carrying herself less than, I guess, anything associated with royalty, but yet, the commentary is hashtag Queen, or I'm a queen, and whatever the culture is doing right now. So the point of the matter is, I just think it's been hijacked. So whereas in one time it used to mean something, now, everybody's rocking the brand and it means nothing. Hijacked.
Wow. Anybody want to talk about any of Team Venus want to speak to that?
I mean, I know I'm not putting on someone else. I think I would agree in the sense of how it's become a common word, it's become common vernacular. But I also think, though, that becomes a responsibility of women to, as he said, we're the ones who are branding ourselves that way. So I think as women, we have to figure out how do we associate the word queen, and I think that just comes from us understanding and educating ourselves on what it means to carry ourselves with royalty, especially in today's culture where a lot of these words are becoming subjective, right? Truth is now becoming a subjective thing. There is no absolute truth. In apologetics, we talk about absolute truth, And so in today's world, even with spirituality, there used to be Christianity. Now it's I'm spiritual. Everything's becoming so loose because I think we're trying to find ways to represent what we should be, but find a way where we can do whatever we want. So I think, I would definitely agree with what Mar said.
I would
That's good.
agree too. I think along with Queen, we could find an endless amount of different nouns, words, adjectives that kind of get thrown around. And I think that all comes back to identity, which I know is a whole nother, discussion. But that's definitely something that we have to really hone in on and really have kind of a heart-to-heart with ourselves when it comes to identity and looking for all these different descriptions and labels that we want to ascribe to just frivolously.
But is queen technically not a subjective term? I mean, outside of like if you actually got knighted or appointed to be a queen, the way that we use it is more of an adjective as opposed to anything else. So what if you have a different definition, LeVar, or even Malcolm, any of the guys that want to jump in? What if you have a different definition of what a queen is versus what that person defines, right? And we can say the same thing about the word king, because it's a term commonly used now as well. I was talking to somebody earlier today that was like, yeah, like men go around calling themselves kings, and you're like a prince at best and probably a pauper. And I was like, but it's true. Like, and it's true on both ends. And so if that person considers themselves a queen with, as you stated, everything out, does that matter?
Yeah,
or is there a standard definition?
Well, I'll keep it real short. I mean, just in a, this is small perspective. I'm just saying that anything royal always had a level of being set apart, and they were not commoners. They were not common. So anything that you can look at within a culture, a system, an institution, and it becomes common, you can't compare it to whatever the set apart faction is. So if you're looking at royalty, if you're looking at a queen, king, prince, whatever the case is, they weren't common. They were set apart from the general population. So if you want to say, okay, I'm a queen, but then your behavior is common,
Mm,
how are you saying that you're set apart to where somebody would deem it, to give honor to that?
that's a perspective. I can't even argue with it. That's good. That's good. What is happening here with all this?
Listen, there is nothing wrong with brothers loving on brothers. Okay, listen, I could have had a hard day. You don't know, brothers. I appreciate y'all.
Sit here, brother, as I sit here and continue to clap.
This is y'all already on some mess, and I don't like it. All right, so I believe it was Eugenia who said that gray sweats were dangerous. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I mean, I think it's a known kind of fact. Conversations around our Instagram water coolers. That's kind of the trap. That's kind of the setup. And we have to be careful and mindful about certain visuals that we allow ourselves to see, about certain triggers that we have, things that might trigger certain memories, past experiences, people. And so really, yeah, you have to kind of take inventory of yourself. And if abstinence is something that you're, trying to pursue and practice, being around a guy with gray sweatpants may not, could be a little distracting.
I have a quick question. What kind of sweatpants were you describing? I'm just trying to figure out. Were these a particular brand?
So you already trying to be a stumbling block. That's what you say.
Was it terry cloth? Was it
usually it's Nike.
Velvet?
Usually it's the Nike.
I want to actually toss this to Mal because in some of our group chats, we've talked about how Mal is actually very upset that he can no longer wear his favorite sweatpants. So do you feel like it's really dangerous? Do you feel like women are making this up? Tell us what you think.
Well, see, I would feel like I was late to the party. Okay, because they were coming up. I had never heard about it. It was never a thing. All of a sudden, you get grown and you start filling out, your clothes, whatever. And all of a sudden, people are kind of looking at you like, how dare you come out with this lingerie on? I'm like, I'm fully covered.
First of all, I do have a friend who calls it lingerie. Okay? I do have a friend who calls it lingerie.
Oh, I've heard it. I've heard it several times. And so, gray is one of my favorite colors. And so it's something that's always been in my wardrobe. So when I found out about it, it's like, okay, now this is a part of my wardrobe that I now have to throw in the back of the closet because I don't want such and such to fall. But really, I love sweatpants. They're comfortable. They give me a lot of give because sometimes you got a lot of room down there. So I mean, hey, I don't know what to say. Let the Lord guide you in your vision.
But that actually brings it. That was funny. But that actually brings me to kind of a point, right? Do you all think, and one of the ladies can answer this, that clothing can, or really anybody can answer this, but clothing can truly be a stumbling block, or is it a personal kind of decision?
Okay, well, we're not supposed to go deep, so I won't go too far, but I do need to bring up some kind of Bible. Well, when we talk about the lust of the eye, that's what you see. And so I can see, we know that men have quite the imagination. But here's the crazy part. We say that out loud and we know that to be a fact. But if women are 10 times more detailed than we are, if they're 10 times more smarter than we are, and I don't care who wants to disagree with that, No, that's your personal conviction, and this is mine. If there are certain things, and that's why they make our lives better, because they are greater in certain aspects of their mental. And so if we always saying men are so, they look with their eyes, they just big on blah 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 blah. How much more are women? And so for each other, you can easily look at something and it trigger. You can easily look at someone, depending on what they're wearing, and either trigger a moment, it trigger a view, it triggers something that you've already seen, something that you've already experienced, and you find yourself 5 steps back for the 2 steps you took forward in the lifestyle that you're trying to live. Maybe you're trying to live better, whatever the case may be. And so our eye gates, our ear gates, you cannot always be listening to music that's glorifying sex and expect to not want to have any, because what you're taking in is, you're taking in sex music. Like that's what's you're gonna at least think about. Or if you ever get in front of a situation where you now see it with your eye, all of these things working together do not help you out in the lifestyle that you want to live. And so, yes, clothing can really get you, especially if you let it. Clothing can get you.
So I can agree with that. I think, though, that when we think about the scripture, when Jesus is talking about how, if you look upon a woman and you lust after her, you have sinned, right? And so that makes me, there's nowhere in there that says, if you look upon a woman and she looks lusty, if she looks like she asking to be lusted after, then you've sinned. Jesus kind of puts the responsibility on the person with the eyes to watch their gait. And not to say, like, I'm a huge proponent of modesty, but again, we know that certain ideologies have propelled rape culture and things like that, and saying, well, what did she have on? You know what I'm saying? What did you have on? And obviously, I'm because I know all of you, that's not what you're saying, but even Jesus put the emphasis on the person looking as opposed to the one that they were looking at. So does anybody have any thoughts on that in particular?
I would totally agree with that. I think that's an alignment of what I was mentioning. You have to know your triggers. And I wonder, as we're talking about this, is gray sweatpants like the equivalent of sundress season?
Mm-hmm,
I just, kind of wonder. And I also think that when it comes to responsibility, it also depends on the relationship of the person. So if you're just out in public, you may not have that responsibility to really kind of try to cover yourself and be modest, being around all these other, different people just in your everyday lifestyle. However, I think if you're in a relationship with somebody and y'all are going out, or y'all having a movie night, or whatever the case may be, and it's going to be more of a private setting, then that is definitely a time to be a little bit more mindful and responsible about the actions, activities, and what you're wearing, because that is kind of backed upon the motive, and just pure negligence if you're not mindful of that.
Negligence. Okay. Now I will say, for myself and other curvaceous women, sometimes it really don't matter what we wear, people of God. We just gonna look like how we look, and it's going to be up to you to exercise some self-discipline in Jesus' name.
I listen. I feel you on that.
Listen. So I want to move on to a topic, y'all. I pray that this doesn't get too out of hand, but I gotta talk about it because it's all around these internet streets. Okay, there's a man, a coach even, by the name of Kevin Samuels, who has set the internet streets ablaze. He essentially told a woman, and I'm going to paraphrase it this way because it's literally the title of the video on his own page. You're average at best. Now, I have taken time to watch the full video to gain context. Hopefully you all have too, whether you're watching or on, I was gonna say on the stage. Listen, come on, Clubhouse. Whether you're watching or right here in this panel discussion. Because, well, before I share my opinions, I just want to go. So again, he told somebody that she was average at best. Sure, this is a mid-30s single mom to a 13-year-old who the father's not really involved. And she was basically stating she's a business owner who makes 6 figures. She said she wants 6-figure men. And basically Kevin Samuels said, your average is best. And men who make 6 figures have other options, and they're probably not going to choose you. With that being said, a lot of people had a lot of mixed emotions. I want to scan the panel really quick and ask, overall with the video, do you agree or disagree? I don't want you to add nothing else. I just want you to say, I agree or I disagree with his. Let's take away the approach, because we all can say like the approach was terrible. So let's throw the approach out. But the content of what he was saying, do you agree or disagree? Okay, LeVar. Oh, sorry. You gotta unmute yourself. I muted you. Boom. I got you. Go ahead. Do you agree or disagree?
I felt like you should have started with Malcolm. I agree.
You just don't want to know.
I
Go
agree.
ahead, Gigi. Go ahead, Eugenia. Sorry.
Disagree.
Okay, Elisha.
Don't worry about it, bro. I got your backup. I agree.
Okay. Genesis.
I disagree.
You disagree. Correct?
Yes, I
Okay.
disagree.
Malcolm.
Don't think too long, brother. Come on, jump in the water.
Be so cliche, but I actually agree. I agree.
Bernique,
I agree. I know it seems a little one-sided, but we'll
Bernique
dive
is
into
the
it.
host. Bernique don't have to answer your questions. You got to answer Bernique's
agree or disagree?
Oh,
Agree or disagree?
Come on, we got 3 and 3 right now.
Hey.
I have to be neutral. I have to
No,
be
you don't. No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
If we listen,
I also don't want no heat. And so with that being said,
agree or disagree?
I can't do it, y'all. Okay.
Listen, hold up, panelists. If you want an answer, put your right hand up. If you want an answer, put your right hand up. Come on, panelists.
You're fired. All 3 of you are fired.
You come on. I need one of the ladies to jump in. We just need one more in this. Come on now.
come on, Gigi.
Get away with not answering.
So
You can do it.
my phone might
I see.
again.
It's gonna be a long
Okay.
night.
I don't have time to explain because I want you all to explain, but in essence, I agree. So I want to start because the majority, not including me, agrees. I want to start with the disagree. Genesis, can you tell me what is it that you disagree with?
So mine does come with a contingency because she had low self-esteem. And that was the biggest issue of the whole interview. If she would have approached this interview with a higher level of self-esteem, it would have been a much different conversation. Being that she's a woman who's already making 6 figures, the fact that she even asked that she wanted to attract or to be with a man with 6 figures really shocked me. Because if you're a woman who makes 6 figures, why aren't you in circles of people who match the quality that well, not say quality, but the socioeconomic status that you're on? So what it really said to me was that she was entertaining, I guess, or with people that were below what she was asking for. And so I could see why the gentleman went in on her. But some of the things that he was saying about how he was talking about high quality men was really hilarious to me. Because first of all, 6-figure men, in today's economy, 6 figures is not a lot of money. That's the first thing I want to say. In today's economy, after taxes, it's not a lot of money. We just have to be honest. And so people have made 6-figure businesses, and I'm not here to attack anyone, but I'm saying pre-tax 6 figures, I mean, you're going to be working. You still got to work. You still got to invest. You still have to save. And so he belittled her into saying that she couldn't attract a 6-figure man. And I'm thinking, I mean, you can just go to DC and get a 6-figure man who works for the government. You can go find a 6-figure man, and every state. Six figures is not a lot. But my main issue as a woman who deals in those circles, some of the things that he mentioned of like why, like, even the age, he said that like, oh, well, a high value man doesn't want a woman who has a baby, has a child. And I'm looking at him like, what world is he a part of? And so what I began to understand was that he's a part of a particular culture of high value men that is not global, that is not well-rounded. It comes from a very small-minded perspective of six-figure men. Because when you look at a diverse world, multimillionaire men, multimillionaires, billionaires, they marry women of all shapes and sizes. The problem is that a lot of times we're only seeing what's seen online. You only look at the millionaires, you're seeing what's in the magazines, you're seeing what's publicized. But if any person who's ever spent time at galas, fundraisers, country clubs, you look at who these men are marrying, they're marrying who they like, whether it's a voluptuous woman, whether it's a skinny woman, whether the woman has children. A lot of these men who are coming from these environments, they already have kids. They're having blended families. The woman has 2 kids. The man had 3 from a previous marriage. I was really shocked at his viewpoint that was just so small-minded. And any woman who has ever grew up or been around upper middle and upper class worlds will tell you that a lot of things that he shared came from a very limited perspective. And I will leave it at that.
You definitely share some context. As somebody who lived briefly in DC, you're right. A lot of people up there make 6 figures because 6 figures is like what you need to survive. You know what I'm saying? Like the cost of living is really high. And so salaries kind of have to be up there to match it. I wanna point out though that for me, my agreement comes with not necessarily the 6-figure part, but the I think that it was her perception of what 6 figures would access her. So I think that though she said 6 figures, I think what she was talking about was a certain quality or level of life. And this is not even specific to her, but I will say, in watching the full clip, he kind of gave her the opportunity to back down. And apparently she kind of pushed her way into being on that particular episode. And then she kind of, so I think that already irritated him and just what that signified to him and the dynamics between black women and black men and how he felt like, black women always trying to push their way in. Like it was a lot of, I think, personal stuff. But in essence, I think there was a certain quality of life that she was talking about. And so those are some of the principal things that he said is what I agree with. But before I get to that, I want to hear everybody else. So LeVar, since you were the first person to voice your agreement, I'm going to go ahead and let you be. Do you want me to talk to somebody else? Because you keep shaking your head every time.
Oh no, I'm just it's just definitely a real responsibility to go first on a topic like this, considering the smoke that this man has already caused. It's all good. It's all good. Go ahead. Give me the question again.
So explain why you agree.
Well, I think I agree with the fact that he has like my sister said, he is a particular. He represents a particular culture, a particular segment of experiences that men have had. And I think that what I gathered was not so much that he was trying to, decimate this woman on his platform, but it was more so, it felt like he was speaking against a very popular narrative. And that narrative is, I think, something that people can see across social media, where it's like, if this man doesn't make this amount of money, he ain't nothing. Any woman who pays $1,800 a month for her bills ain't interested in what you're doing. That it's that type of narrative, that type of, let's just say, depiction of the expectation that, let's just be honest, that in this current climate, Black women have a voice about Black men. I think that what he did is he used his candor, or just him just being extremely frank, to challenge some of the ideologies as to how those women are able to get there. Now, granted, this has a lot of moving parts, and I know that it can be very sensitive. But just as like Genesis said, there are a lot of people marrying all kinds of people, all kinds of socioeconomic status, and so on and so forth. However, what it has done is, I think he's chiming in on the culture that makes it seem like men don't have standards or men don't have choices, and it's almost like we have been kind of, you know, charged that by the culture. Like, listen, if like one of the popular topics of yesteryear was weight. You know, it used to be weight, then it used to be looks, then it used to be something. And in all of those areas, men were being shamed for having a preference or, you know, having a standard in some cases or whatever the case. And I think that he basically just represents a voice that says, I don't care what you think. Men do have, you know, thoughts, and, you know, it's not just we should be happy to have whatever is thrown just because you feel like, you know, this is what you want. And that's kind of what I gathered from it. Outside of, I guess I think he could have communicated a lot of his ideas a lot differently.
Yeah. I do want to say, though, it's interesting that you brought that up as a consideration, because a lot of women, and even I have, you know, kind of stood in the gap in this particular topic, feel that way, that we have been taught to accept what is given to us as opposed to upholding our standards and desires. There are many women that I speak with that, you know, often like the quality or the types of guys that they settle for is just because like that's the person that they like, especially in weight culture, right? And not WEIGH, but WAIT. Like in this culture, especially as believers, when we're taught to wait and wait and wait, that literally sets us up to sit back and see who comes to you. So that way you can like just take it or leave it. And then of course, this idea that men are allowed to multiple date, but women are not necessarily. And so we're literally just sitting ducks like, man, hopefully somebody comes up and chooses me. You know, I'll just sit here and wait. And so it's interesting that you brought that up, because I think that this points to one similarity that we don't talk about often, because I can't tell you that your perspective is wrong, right? But if that's your reality and that's also the reality of women, then it seems like both of us are holding up this perspective that, well, I don't want to take what's just been handed to me or what I can quote unquote get or be limited by those things, but I actually have standards and desires. And I think that when both sides kind of settle with that, you know, that, hey, you have standards and I have standards, and, you know, especially when they're rooted in the right thing, which we can talk about later, and that's okay. So it's interesting. I just really found it interesting that you felt that way, because I think most of the women that I speak to, they feel like men have choices and but women are often limited. Mal, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like many others, I felt like, you know, he could have used a bit more tact in his words. But it also seemed to fit, because I feel like he was speaking to the person directly in front of him. He wasn't speaking to a general audience. And so some of her, I guess, approach is she just kind of seemed to keep coming at him and coming at him and coming at him. And he's trying to give her like this picture or this perspective, and she wasn't receiving it. And so he felt like he had to go to another extreme to kind of, I guess, bring shock value to the conversation. So while I thought it was poorly delivered, I think he hit on some very present truths in today's dating scope, where typically you don't see high earning men with homely or average looking women. That's not the dynamic that exists. I mean, it doesn't. And so I don't think he said anything that was necessarily inaccurate in terms of the general narrative, the general scope, the general public when it comes to the dating sector. But I do think he could have sharpened up his delivery a little bit. But again, he was speaking very generally to one person, and that's kind of how I saw the situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Eugenia, what are your thoughts? Why did you disagree?
A few things that came to mind. One is he sized her up like she was looking for a sugar daddy. But she has her own money, she has her own business, and she's looking for a partner, not somebody that is going to once you know, a trophy wife or somebody that's, you know, young, voluptuous, beautiful, or, you know, curvy and all like that. So that was number one. Two, I think he does represent because kind of this limited and dated perspective, which is really stereotypical because one, high earning doesn't necessarily equate to high profile. One, and then two, it's a double standard because you have so many regular average looking men that is, you know, high earning with, you know, beautiful women. And it's kind of a double standard. It's like, okay, well, how did that happen? So I think it sounded personal. I mean, she did put herself out there on that platform to receive and engage in that type of dialogue, but I don't think it was fair. Just because it's a double standard.
Okay. All right. I'm going to speak to that, but I'm going to let Elisha go. What are you basing your agreement on?
Ooh. This thing is loaded. This thing is there's so many facets to this thing. This thing is super, super, super loaded. I do want to say I'm listening to everybody, and I appreciate everybody's opinion and their standpoint. I'm really trying to look at it through different lens as well, and not just my own. So I do appreciate the responses. But I will say this: I think the question that we are here to agree or disagree with was he right when he said men have better options, or they have other options? Either way, he's right. And this is the culture for sure, where we will sit on the sideline until we get what we want because we know we can afford to sit on the sideline. And at some point, what we want will present itself. Unfair, double standard, like she just said. But this life is full of double standards. And so we're so quick to raise the billboard of double standard. But everything that we do, there's something that you can do that I can't. There's something I can do that you can't, that I'll be reproached for, it's all over the place. So even in this conversation, I believe it's the same. I was in the group chat with Cece, and she raised a great point. Athletes and celebrities aren't looking for anybody, just anybody. And of course, I mean everything as respectfully as I possibly can. I mean, it is what it is. And the truth of the matter is, being a trainer, being exposed to lifestyles, being able to work with multiple celebrities and multiple trainers and multiple athletes, there is a pool of women that they fish from. And this is the truth. I'm not saying that this is true to every group of high earning men or whatever, but for certain lifestyles, and even from her point where she was like, yeah, I need someone that makes more than me so I can respect him, or something to that tune. If I'm making that up, y'all let me know. But she said something to that tune, which was she was really looking for someone to make more so that she could, whatever.
She did say that.
She said that? Okay, I'm not lying. Cool. Okay, so my point being, that means she's not just looking for someone that casually makes 100 or 200 and spends 150 or submit. That's what it was. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you. She's not looking for someone that has 5 or 10 or 15 left at the end of the year. She's looking for a lifestyle that affords a lavishness to where she will now look at him in return and say, okay, I mean, whatever you want me to do, whatever. And so I just, of course, his approach was off. But just like Vernique said, like looking at the video, it's like he's sitting there like, oh, you're not trying to hear me. And then he just spazzed. I believe at that moment, it wasn't about platform. It wasn't about internet. It wasn't about followers. I believe in that moment, he was just mad. And you got a real reaction from a madman. Now, I can never pop off like that online or even in person. I'm not wired to do that. But that just shows you the way that he knows he can get and he can afford to get, not caring about the backlash. And so, what he did, that's on him. He got to sleep with that and everything. But we never tear our sisters down. That's one thing for me. I never tear you down as an individual. But when we ask, we always say, what do men want? What do you want? Then we answer, and then you go, yeah, I don't agree. What? You gotta be a man and say that's not what I want. That's what I want. And I do what I want. And so I think that's kind of why don't men speak? Because when men speak, it gets challenged. No, that's not how men feel. No, that's how that. No, it's there's a lot of different, just like Genesis said earlier, there's a lot of different perspectives. There's a lot of different cultures. There's a lot of different traditions. I was born here in the US, but my family's from Cameroon, Africa. So there's an entire culture behind that whole thing. And so, yes, we're in 2020 going into 2021. And as much as I hate to say this, we want to act as if there are no classes. And I mean, I'm gonna lose probably 5 or 6 people on the screen right here, and that's okay. But we want to act as if there's no classes. There are certain cultures that classes are very evident. I mean, you cannot marry outside. You're not even allowed to. You don't have no options but everything that's in your ballpark. And so, there's a very twisted way we look at things, especially when we look at social media. But there is a way that things are ran. And I don't think that running has anything to do with the size of the body. I don't think it has anything to do with the money that you make. I think it has everything to do. With the circles you run in. And so, no, I need you to come back because I was done. Come back. Come on, Vernique. Come on. Listen, I done dug myself deep enough in this hole, huh? But I mean, I think, and I think for us, really good conversation for us looks like, hey, if y'all really feel like that, okay, so how do we align how you feel and how we've been thinking, and just come to a better place? But I love what everybody had to say. It came from a different perspective. And at this point, I'm really just about to talk about these tickets that y'all need to buy. He just left the screen again. And our panelists are looking at me and I'm looking at them. And we're trying to figure out where Vernique is. But while we're looking for Vernique, you can be buying your ticket. Oh my God. We're at this point in the service, fellas. Oh,
that's hilarious.
Fellas and ladies, I need you to go get your ticket now. I believe there's information in the comments. My phone is off. I'm really listening to what they're saying. So my phone is off. Go get your ticket. This is going to be really, really good. As you can see, amazing perspectives. We all respect each other. We respect what we have to say. I was just about ready to be done talking because she was back on the screen and now she's gone again. And so we're waiting for her to load in. I don't know. There's been a lot said. Does anybody have anything to say about anything that's been said?
I do. I just want to pose this question. Can a person get into the beauty or the modeling industry and then request for the audience, the customers or whatever the case is, and then request that they have more depth and that they're not shallow? Can that happen? It can't, because the industry is based on something very surface, like looks. And from what I gathered, the woman was she was having a carnal, well, we can break that word down, but she was having a very surface conversation. I want a man who makes a lot of money. I can't submit to him. I can't do whatever the case is unless he makes a lot of money. So that seems to be a very surface perspective, and he gave her a surface response. So it's almost like if you're saying, listen, bump character, bump guy, bump all. Listen, I need to make a lot of money. A man says, cool. If that's all that matters to you, on the other side, what if this is all that matters to him?
That's a valid point, because I want to rebut and say that's why I said her confidence was an issue. And I want to bring in Elisha's point. And I think CC Jackson, who's commenting, raises a very good point. I have 2 points I want to make in the rebuttal. The first thing is that when we talk about wealth or net worth, men who have net worth, it's so funny on how we always jump to celebrities and athletes, because many times celebrities and athletes are not the richest in the game. When you look at the top Forbes list, you will rarely see the celebrities and athletes. You're looking at CEOs of companies, you're looking at venture capitalists, you're looking at startup founders, okay? And these people do not have a ton of social media followers. Many times they're not even on social media. They may be on LinkedIn, but they're not on social media. You're not gonna be able to keep up with them all the time because there's a certain way that they carry themselves. In addition to that, you do have to realize that she was a chaser. You can always smell a chaser, because if you're a woman who's, and this is why I said I could tell she had low self-esteem, because she was trying to mark herself by how much she made. But money does not buy class. That's the first thing, okay? Because your money does not mean anything if you're not in the right circles. So she talked about how she was not willing to submit to a man and all this kind of stuff, right? All this extra stuff. But in my head, if you're seeking a man who has a certain level of net worth, why aren't you at the fundraisers? Why aren't you at the galas? Why aren't you a member of a country club, or why aren't you in societies? Why aren't you in the philanthropist talks or at the table? It was obvious that she was chasing something that she was not around. She was, and basically, how do I gain entry? And women who ask how to gain entry, they do not have enough substance to handle what they're asking for, because you have no education. Do you have etiquette skills? Do you know how to carry yourself at a table? Do you know what a dessert spoon is? Do you know why they are extra short? Do you understand how to sit at certain tables? Do you understand on how when you go to the country club, it's a dinner, you go golfing? Do you understand the world in which you enter into? Because if you don't understand the world, but you're getting access into, or value that man for who he really is. Because if you value a man by his pockets, what if he loses it based on his investment, the economy crashes, and he, let's say for 2 years, is destitute? You married him because of his money, right? You didn't value him for his heart. You didn't value him for who he was as a man. And when he is broken, you cannot build him up because all you valued was his pockets. You are a chaser. And that was why I disagreed with it, because I disagree with the fact of the contingency was she did not have high self-esteem, and she was a chaser. So that was where my contingency is that a lot of times when we talk about like looks, it's important to understand that even as Christian women, when you enter into certain levels of society, you do have to look good. You do have to understand how to carry yourself. You should not look homely. These are things like we're wishing to gain entry. You have to understand that if you're going to be successful in life, you can't say nigga, nigga, nigga. You can't do that all the time. You can't slouch on the chair and be like, you're going to accept me for who I am. That's not how this works. And so we have to understand too that like it's not even a double standard. We should have standards for ourselves. And she did not have a standard for herself. That was very clear. She thought that she could enter into a room and not change who she was, ask for more, but not have a higher value point on herself. So that's all I have to say. But like for real, like you can't look crazy and ask like what? And then the funny part is that a lot of these things are we're white people, and we're black coming into these environments. Like, don't even get me started. I'm sorry. I deal with it all the time. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm being triggered. Like, please don't do this. You embarrassing all tables and then talking about God at the same time and trying to speak in tongues. I'm over it.
That's hilarious.
That, my dear sister, is why I said that I agreed in essence, right? You took it way further than I was even thinking. But the issue is that there was no substance to what she was asking for, right? And so when that's all you care about, well, yeah, like the people who are just as superficial as you, they don't, like I'm not trying to pull down another sister, but like they're not gonna check for you, sis. Like it just is what it is. And the other reason why I agreed was because of this. Let's say the conversation did have more substance. I want women to be able to say the same thing. And I know that sounds crazy, but first of all, we already say the same thing. If somebody comes into my DM, and let's say we're not even talking about money, but we're just talking about like caliber. If somebody slides into my DMs and he looked like Flavor Flav without the money. First of all, I can't be bought. Like, you gotta be fine. That's something that I just can't. I can't look over. I can't do the Jay-Z thing. I can't do I will never be on Flavor of Love, because I need a man that when I look at you, like when we dating, I need to like speak in tongues on my way to see you, because the Lord is gonna have to keep me. Okay, that's Vernique. All right, and so there's already that. But when a guy comes into my inbox and he look crazy, and then let's say I talk to him and he don't have a job, and you know what I'm saying, and let's just stop there, right? I'm gonna leave it as surface as that conversation was. I want to be able to text my friends and say, sis, can you believe this nigga? Sorry, Genesis said I can't use that word anymore. Can you believe this?
You can use that in this context. You can use.
Listen, and I'm still gonna use it. I'm still gonna back somebody rich, and he's gonna love Jesus, and he's gonna be fine. But that's not the point. The point is that I need to be able to go to my friends and be like, sis, this man just slid me at home. Me, you slid into my inbox.
Oh yeah,
like
that's my video.
You look like this. You don't have a job, and you think me at home me, and you think that you're gonna be able to slide through? I'm offended. And you know what? My friends will be like, yes, sis, what was he thinking? And if I screenshotted it and I put it on social media, everybody gonna be like, yes, sis, period, poo. So why doesn't it work when it's the other way around?
But it does work.
It doesn't work.
It might work here, but the way the internet streets was like, sis, you can have whatever you like. But that's not the reality. That's not even the reality for most things. Me cannot have everything that I want. I can't. There are some things that I'm going to be privy to and I have access to, but as confident, as smart, as beautiful, as like financially stable as I am, there are just some things that are not in my grasp. Whether that be because I have not elevated myself to get there, or because it just simply is just not it's not for me. Like, it's just not for me. And so why is it that for women, everything, we teach that like everything, like the world is whatever. But for men, we very easily and without question say, you if you're trying to get with me, you need to make blah, blah, blah. If you're trying to get with me, matter of fact, I was in a room on Clubhouse where these people were like, yeah, I need you to cash at me before we go on a date because I need to know your level of investment. I think it's wrong, but the fact of the matter is, if I have the right to say it and it's culturally and socially acceptable, then the same should go. Like, I should be able to say, there is no way a man can come to me and you don't have a job and you look like who done it and why. Like, I know that sounds carnal, like LeVar was saying before, but we all have these. There are people that would approach you right now today, all of y'all, and you would be offended. Why is that? And hopefully you understand that somebody else has the right to be offended as well. That's all. That's where my agreement lies. I know it wasn't cute in church, but that's where my agreement lies. Does anybody have anything to add to that?
I was gonna say that the approach that she even brought to the table was from a place of piety, because she said, back where I'm from in North Carolina, these lower level men I have to date down, and she was basing that off of her salary.
Right.
And so now she's coming into a man's arena and what he finds attractive and what he likes, and it's saying essentially, well, why won't he choose me? Well, men aren't necessarily looking for high salary women. I don't have a problem with making money, but I go back to this story all the time. I had a 12th grade literary teacher who wanted us to write a piece on a literary piece. I chose a narrative-based piece written by Barack Obama. She said, it's going to be difficult to complete my assignment with this book. However, go ahead with the book. When I finished writing my piece, it read more like a historical novel than a literary piece that she was looking for. And so it wasn't a bad paper. It just wasn't what she asked me for. So what she brought to the table was her idea of this is what it is. This is what you should want. But you can't tell someone who's looking for a particular thing what they should want. You can't You can't bring your preferences to someone else's preferences and say you should change your preferences because they don't fit what I like. It just doesn't work that way.
I think another thing to tap on, like to add on to that, bro, is you're not going to do something and catch someone as a result of what you do. And that whole mentality is flawed. Throw it away. It's for the birds. Even with the same purity culture thing. Now, what I'm not doing is saying don't live holy and don't live right, or attempt to, because that is our goal. But in the same breath, it cannot be I'm living holy so that the right man comes and so that we get married and live happily ever after, because that's not how that works. But yet we're so programmed as a society, as a culture, that if I do A, B will happen. And that's not true. You could run and find somebody in the middle of a circle that you don't even belong to and go to a whole nother place, and it have nothing to do with what you bring to the table, the amount of money that you make, how you look, and all of that. Just off the fact that the other person is happy when they see you. The other person is happy when they kick it with you. When they're around you, they don't want to leave. And when they're not with you, they can't wait to be in your presence. Those are the gauges for this, and we just turn it all upside down. I really believe we really believe as a culture that good things are going to happen to us because of what we do. Yet we're never going to be good enough for the great things that are coming. Like, they're not coming because we're so good. They're coming because God is so good. And I'm not trying to preach, just being real. And so, like, her take on it, I mean, mind you, this is not to clear him, because once again, I don't believe you ever go at it. Like, I don't care how much I disagree with Vernique. I will never, ever, 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 ever disrespect her, raise a voice, call a name. It will never happen because she's a queen. And if anyone should be able to protect her, Genesis, like, if anyone should be able to protect our women, especially our Black women, it should be us. So I'm bruised by the way he handled her in front of the world. I'm bruised by that. But I am not bruised by the information he gave, because a lot of it, even if not true in context, you can weigh it out on the scale and balance it. A lot of it. And so my thing is, for us, we have to get away from the culture that says, hey, all of these things are going to happen because I do this. I'm going to do this, and God is going to give me this. That's not how that works. That is not how. Let's program ourselves for success. Let's program ourselves for happiness. And I promise you, it's going to happen. And it's not going to happen because you make six figures. It's going to happen because you're programmed for it. You're ready for it. You've prepared for it. You've made room and space for everything that you desire.
Yeah. And I want to add this really quick too, is that I really, as much as, to speak to kind of the double standard, right? We talk about how men want attraction and you want somebody that looks whatever, right? And again, that's also subjective, because what you may find, what LeVar finds fine is different than what Malcolm finds fine and what Elijah finds fine. But as much as you all want that and want that to be respected, is I think the same way that we ought to respect a woman's desire to have financial stability from a mate. Because often what kind of comes back is, well, y'all could build together and y'all could this and that. And while that is true, it doesn't have, and again, this is because it's a preference. I want to make sure that we are all holding those things in a way that, like, is, I don't know, like, that can be, that's malleable in the hands of God, right? And so making sure that when we say that we want these things, that, like, God is allowed to change our minds or to change the situation or whatever the case may be. So I think that we should both, I think that the to kind of close this out, and by the way, if you're still watching, stay tuned because something is coming for you. The way that we balance this out is to make sure that we're leading with character first and with grace, and to make sure that all that we want, that we can submit, that we submit it to the Lord and in the spirit of wisdom. And I think that will kind of help. And to know that one person's preference is not a reflection of your worth if you don't fit within that preference, right? So if the young lady that was on the thing was watching, just because that's what Kevin Samuel thinks and wants, it doesn't mean that you're not worthy or that you actually don't necessarily have access. You may not have access to men like him, but there may be other avenues or other things that you have access to and what you want. However, my admonishment to her though will be to make sure that one, she doesn't base her level of submission on how much somebody makes, and
Correct.
that she like the same mistakes that you're gonna make at the 4 or 5 figure earning man is the same mistakes you're gonna make when it comes to 6 figure, because trash men and trash women are at every level and phase in life.
Thank you.
Every level.
Thank you.
And so, okay, you got your 6 figure earner, but he's still as abusive as the drug dealer that you was dating last week.
And he can hire people to beat you up because he got the money.
So that's what I'm saying. Like we have to just watch how we hold our standards, why we have them, and then lead with character first and grace. What were you gonna say, LeVar?
I was going to say, I mean, it's interesting because we talk about the, the characters in this conversation. The characters are like preference. The characters are standard. The characters are high earning, or what is it? High value men, high value women. And I think that one of the participants in this conversation that we're not talking about is pride. And I think that there's a difference between saying, I want someone who is attractive to me. Therefore, my energies, that type of intimacy or intimate energy is going to be toward them. I want to be able to be with someone that captivates me. Is different than saying, I need a baddie because I'm that dude. And so it's like, these are the two different narratives that are happening in the heart of a person. The person says, like, because one of our sisters said, it was you, Renee. I think it's like, it's okay if she wants somebody that provides a sense of stability, financial security, so on and so forth. That's one conversation, but the actual narrative is, because I make this much money, I'm not going to respect you unless you make this much money or more, because I'm that girl. I got the bag. So therefore, So my thing is, a lot of times it seems like we're mixing conversations when in actuality, some people are having a prideful discourse and some people are having an honest conversation as to what it is that they desire in a mate. And there's nothing wrong with what you desire in a mate. But let's be honest, if you're being pride and then you get a carnal response or a hard knock response, of course it's going to be a response with no love, because your statement and your conversation wasn't in love in the first place.
That's what it was. To me, when I viewed that whole panel, when I viewed the two people talking, it was like, and especially as a Christian watching that video, it was like I was watching flesh wrestling. I was watching a woman who based herself on how much she was making. You could tell that she was not, because she rated herself a 5. The man asked her, how would you rate yourself? This woman said a 5. I had to stop the video because I'm like, you don't even qualify to ask any questions. If you rate yourself as a 5, what is your chances of getting, so you could tell she came broken and she came unprepared to ask for what she was asking for. The gentleman, he has a spirit of pride on him, and you could see it just reeking, because you could tell that he saw his value in what he had obtained and who he was. Because even as he began to talk about who he was around, I'm thinking in my head, okay, this, and he obviously was just speaking from just a Black perspective, because we haven't been talking about multicultural wealth. So I'm thinking, okay, he's just seeing one perspective, and you could tell that he felt as if, let me talk down to you. So he was able to talk down to this Black woman, and as you think about it, he never gave, and I get that he was picked off, but he could have rephrased it to give her advice in a positive way. But it was pride versus pride. And it was like they were clashing. And I think that one of the dangers too is that as Christian women, we got to be really careful listening to worldly conversations on topics like this, because watching that video, if you don't have any spiritual discernment or natural discernment, you could use that as a blueprint and think, and I think it was LeVar that said, and base your value off of that. And then men could watch that video as a Christian man and say, that's how but that was a carnal conversation. And we're We live in a kingdom realm. We don't even have conversations like that. We don't date because the man has 6 figures. You know, we
That's
don't date.
good, sis.
We don't even, that's not even our world. So I just want to encourage women, don't get intertwined in this worldly world where they argue and discuss things on that realm, because our way of living is just higher. So, I mean, it was a world.
Amen. I really love the way that you even said that. And by the way, if you don't know, I should have. If I was on Clubhouse, I would have done this, but I would have reset the room a few times. But you know, here we are on Facebook. So if we're getting ready to close down, but this is part of our panel. We're missing 2 people right now. Part of our panel for Pillow Talk 2020, coming up December 23rd. The topic is Mars versus Venus, and so we're having these conversations. For those of you who've been watching, you saw how there was some tension there, and but we were able, and that's literally the goal of this event, is to use those differences to bring us together so that way we can connect. And I think that through this conversation, through working it out together, we've kind of reached I see you. And so that's kind of the heart behind it. And I hope that what you all have even heard tonight has really helped to challenge your perspective. We just sat here and talked, right? At this event, first of all, we will all be in one room. That's one. We will all be in one place. And it's going to be lit. I'm putting a twist on our panel discussion to make it more fun and competitive. So make sure that you all tune in. Make sure that you grab your tickets. If you have been watching, I'm about to give you some tea before I get everybody's final remarks. If you've been watching up until this point, you can get 25% off between now and noon tomorrow. Between now and noon tomorrow, if you go to the website and you use code teaser25, all lowercase, teaser25, teaser25, all lowercase, you will get 25% off for watching this teaser, okay? Teaser 25. But I'm really excited about this event because I feel like each one of you guys have brilliant minds, and both of y'all stand for your team, right? Whether you're Team Mars or Team Venus. But to be honest, y'all, as much as I love being a woman and I love standing for all things womanhood, I want my planet to collide with somebody else's. Can I get an amen? Can I get a glory? I need my planet to collide with somebody in holy matrimony. And so I want to get to see you guys I trust every single voice that is on this stage. I trust every single voice that is on this stage, and y'all come with it every time. And I think this was really, y'all were kind of on mild tonight, and we praise God because we probably would have shut down the internet. But y'all are some amazing people. So as we close out this conversation, tell me, thank you, Vanity. Vanity said this was a great preview. I see you, Michaela. # Team Venus. I don't know if there's any Team Mars in the building, but you can shout your team out as well. Vanity says she needs an eclipse in her life. Listen, collide, eclipse, burst. I don't know. I don't care. I want one. Okay. But yeah. Make sure you grab your tickets right now. At noon tomorrow it ends. And you're gonna forget after this live ends. So right now you can go. I'm gonna give you permission as they give their final remarks. So Eugenia, can you tell me what are some things that you're kind of pulling out of this conversation? What are some of your thoughts as it pertains to what it means to, I guess what we're talking about is dating on your level, right? What does that mean to you in closing?
Well, I think what I really enjoyed about the conversation is how we were able just to move past the carnality and the surface level of exchange that was presented to really get to the heart of the matter. That yes, both people were broken. Both people had challenges in their heart posture and dealing with pride with each other. And I think from this point, being able just to throw out your list. I think Liz has held us in so much bondage, trying to stack up to that ideology of what we think we want, what we think we desire. And that kind of hinders us from really connecting and engaging with the opposite sex, and really hinders us from really getting what we actually want and desire from relationships. So
yeah,
I feel like that was a consensus of everybody on the panel, and I was just really happy that we were able to show that side of it, because I think a lot of the conversation has been, oh, who is right and who is wrong, but it's like, yo, like, let's look really past all of that and get to the root of the issue.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's so good, sis. Mal, what's up? What are your thoughts in closing?
What up? This was a very enlightening discussion. I did not expect for us to pull out of such a trivial kind of dialogue the nuggets that we pulled out. And hats off to Miss Genesis. She brought some really amazing points as well. We are in the world, but we are not of it. And I think to hold our posture in the kingdom and to be able to speak truth to power from that place is so necessary. And I'm glad to be a part of this panel. This was dope.
Yeah. What about you, LeVar?
Listen, I love the conversation. I appreciate, especially, on Team Venus, just the ability to, articulate feelings and emotions just in a way that can be, palatable, something that we can listen to and actually derive something from, as at least as in respect to understanding the position of the other person. I think this is a great opportunity to address certain levels of or certain issues that we have in communication between men and women. I do think that it was a surface example that we're breaking down and kind of going back over, but I think it has great value, because whether or not the tone and the words they chose, whether or not it was appropriate or not as it relates to us in the kingdom, we still have to be able to learn how to hear what one another are saying. And I think that that's something that I'm looking forward to breaking open and really just trying to hit on some of those hard areas, that men don't want to hear, and some of those hard areas that women don't want to hear either. And hopefully we can meet in the middle and continue to hear one another out.
That's good. What about you, Miss Genesis?
So this is my first time being on a relationship panel. Usually I'm on business panels and private conversations. So for me, I just want to bring my experiences. I think that I can bring a different viewpoint or perspective. I think that I'm really excited about us having an expanded viewpoint. I think many times in the church we have a very limited viewpoint of society, of cultures, socioeconomic levels, and I believe that God wants us to elevate in all realms, and so that we don't have such a limited viewpoint of living. And a lot of times when we talk about relationships, many people's viewpoints on relationships come from a very limited living viewpoint. They have never lived. They've never expanded their viewpoint. And even if they haven't had the opportunity, I think that having conversations with others who have an expanded mindset will help them to see that there's more in life. I believe that God has so many different ways for us to communicate, for us to connect with others, and having educated conversations about relationships will help us to have healthier ones, will help us to have expanded ones. So I'm just really, I really enjoyed tonight's conversation to hear different viewpoints, because I myself was educated. And I think that's the purpose of conversation, is to be educated, not just to talk all day, but to actually take something from a conversation and then apply it so that you can win in life, so that you can have, a more enjoyable life. So I'm hoping that even from tonight's conversation, that people don't log off and say, oh, this is a great conversation, because that's what many people have conversations. But how do we elevate life so that God may be glorified through our relationship? So I'm just really excited to be a part. I hope people buy the tickets. And I just want to add this. I hope people see value in this. I think a lot of times people, they look at things and they see it as a conversation, but I hope people buy tickets for this because they see it as an investment and not as a ticket. If you're someone who really wants to have your questions answered because you want to have healthy relationships, I would see this as an investment. If you're someone though who just values conversation, talking all day, you may not view this as an investment. But if you're someone who actually wants to get advice and maybe wants to have an expanded viewpoint, I would say invest. I would definitely say invest. I would definitely say get a ticket, find someone else maybe who's struggling in a relationship, who's struggling to have an expanded viewpoint, and buy a ticket, please, because you need education so you can expand in life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Genesis, for saying that. And that's exactly the heart of why Authentically Wed exists and why we are having this event. Every single time people come to a Pillow Talk, it is absolutely like paradigm shifting. And that's something that I make sure of when I curate these conversations. Also, the last one sold out. So that should just tell you, of course, that was pre-COVID, but that should just tell you about what happens when people get in a room and we have real and raw conversation. With it being virtual this year, you have no excuse as to why you couldn't come. And true to Pillow Talk style, I actually have not announced this yet, but we will have audience participation. We always have it in person, and so we have found a way to make it happen. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, you need to have a ticket, and more information will come. But you need to have a ticket and check your emails because you will actually be able to ask questions. So that's one thing I want to say. Also, just for general AW housekeeping, before we go, the year is winding down, and we have She Shed next week, and then the week after that, I believe there's one more thing. After that, if you watched our family meeting, a lot of things are about to change. So if I were you, I will come to Pillow Talk. I will come to every event because things are about to change. Glory to God in the highest. Emmanuel, God with us. So with that being said, thank you each and every one of you guys for watching. Okay, these comments was popping off. Thank you to all of my panelists for being here. First of all, I need y'all. I know that this was all nice and stuff. I need you to get the kumbaya out of your throat. I know we throw it away because you're still Team Mars and you're still Team Venus, and you have a point to prove. Darn it! So we're not gonna kumbaya right here off of one conversation. We're gonna kumbaya on December 23rd at the end. But cut all that.
Listen.
Ain't no.
See, I thought we was
perspective.
kingdom. I thought we was kingdom around here.
We
thought
like
so. No.
We're at war.
But what side of the kingdom you on, though, baby? Is what I'm saying. What side of the kingdom are you on?
Venus on the west side.
I'm on the winning side.
I'm with it.
Like everybody has said, get your ticket. You can use this discount code 25% off with teaser 25. This is the last discount code you get because that's it. And that's it. And after this week, as a matter of fact, the price goes up. It goes up. Naturally so. That's it. Thank you everybody for watching. Panelists, hang tight for a second. And everybody have an amazing night. Share with a friend this video. And as always, live authentically. Peace.